Hello, beautiful family. Just getting things set up for our 4D Trinity experience together. I'm so grateful to be with you. As always, I hop on YouTube a few minutes before I get calibrated on Instagram, so those little emails can go out to subscribers here at the channel, so you can be made aware or reminded that we are starting the show. I'm so grateful for this community with all of my heart. You know, if you're a presenter here or on any platform on media, it is just such a gift to have this as a free artistic medium of expression. Well, how free, right, is debatable. Yet it is really just quite a blessed place where we can all meet and get to work, you know, in understanding the deeper strata of self, mind, body, and spirit. So thank you for being here with me today. We're going to just finish up getting set up here, and then we're going to go live on Instagram shortly. And I will come back later. You know, after you record, it takes a minute to process the video. Or sometimes an hour or two or three, depending on what's going on in YouTube land. So I will always come back and put links up top later. And there's some links I'm definitely going to be putting on here for us. So let's see. It's just 11. So we'll get started here. Okay. Blessings and welcome, dear community. I am Tuesday May Thomas, and this is my weekly live stream for the Trinity. Now, today's topic is massive. It's huge. And I keep having to remind myself of what the actual title is. Empath. See, and now here I go. I have to remind myself again. Empath, right? Do you find yourself repeating, right, the criticism that others have placed over you? Thank you so much, everyone, for hopping on and joining. So this is such a powerful aspect and topic for us to share on today, because there are so many individuals that identify as an empath, that feel an ultra sensitivity within themselves and in the world around themselves, and learning how to navigate the matrix, navigate this world. And not only the matrix, the world, the part that we might think is illusion, but to learn how to navigate the inner strata, the labyrinth within ourselves, in and amongst the matrix, so that we can set the correct codes in alignment and ultimately set ourselves free. Blessings, Self-Centered Canada. Oh, I said it correct, although in my heart, you will always be a senator of Canada. Oh, blessings. Oh, hi, Claire. Oh, wow. Thank you so much. True Blue. How are you? How are you? So thank you, everyone, for hopping on. Yes. So whether you feel that you've just come in with a horoscope, an astrology that has you set up for uber sensitivity, or you feel that you've come into this life and since you were a child, you've just been super sensitive to others, right? There's a chance that you are in this empathic timeline. Oh, blessings. Thank you for hopping on YouTube, everyone, and sending love and saying hi. It's such a gift to be here with you. And so, yeah, no matter what age you are, right? And no matter what realm and part of life you're in, as we are on our spiritual growth path, there will be levels of our energy bumping up. There will be levels of ourselves getting to meet ourselves anew in the light of who we truly are. And now when we have patterns of belief that are confronting us in our minds repetitively, it creates a bind for ourselves, right? We put ourselves into a bind whereby that becomes a gate, and we can't get through, we can't get out. And in fact, what happens is that gate, right? Gates are shiny, right? Those ring gates at school, right? They get shiny, and the light of your truth that is always present, right, will begin to shine off of that gating, that fencing, those perpetual thoughts that aren't even yours, that have been incepted or planted into your mind through past experiences, but your repetition of casting them forward into your reality, right, are going to reflect back. And the irony is that your own light is that which is going to reflect those things back to you in the light of the illusion of the gate, the illusion of the fencing that we end up fencing ourselves in, right? When we perpetually judge ourselves, when we perpetually put ourselves down, but it's not us. And I think as an empath, it's really, really important to understand that there is a responsibility. And I say this often to the younger audience that perhaps is still coming into the realization of how important it is to take care of your aura, to take care of that is actually a part of self-care, right? Spiritually, to take care of really mastering your mind and of understanding the divine sensibility, the sensitivity, and of navigating what is your energy and what does not belong to you, so that you can appropriately decipher and discern and excise, which means to cut out, right, from the root, to release yourself and be free from those chains that bind. Now, many of us have been walking with many, many lies in our lives. This creates a pattern of toxicity. Very briefly, the light body, right? Us and our aura, our chakras, everything calibrated in the light. When we're just, you don't even have to be like constantly like, I love myself, I love myself, I love myself. Although there's periods where we get to retrain that wiring. But in general, just being honest, being true to ourselves, right? Being authentic and having the authenticity and the ability to know who we are, to know thyself, is a power that is priceless, that no one can take away from you. And as we continue discerning and navigating that path, our aura is strengthened, right? In the light of us just knowing ourselves, in the light of us inviting more of our true selves in to speak on our behalf, to think on our behalf, and not those reruns of thoughts or belief patterns or self-criticisms that others have put in our path, in our minds. When we let those thoughts take seed, right? Those belief patterns that aren't even ours, what happens is they begin to muddy the lenses, the filters, the chakras, the cells, right? And perhaps it's come those criticisms, right? At a point of violence in your life, at a point of really high trauma, or where some really heavy duty stuff has happened. And so it sticks even more, right? Into your aura, into your cellular memory. And it's like, whoa, to try to really unhinge that, to dissolve it and to heal it is quite a journey, but this is your path. This is your karma. And it's such a dance, right? To on one hand, identify as the victim for such a great part of our lives. And on the other hand, to then come out the other side and to realize that you can become the victor and overcome. So thank you, everyone. I'm so grateful for you being here. Thank you for the love at YouTube and Instagram. Now, we have notes and we are going there. So what I want to talk to you about especially is that idea of, those belief patterns that are given to us from our youth, where we have no idea, we don't know any better, and we're just a sponge and we're taking on this information. We're taking on this information. I was bullied in school. You can read all about how I have overcome all of my victimhood in my book, The Reiki Apprentice. I was bullied at school and I was called a fat whale and a fat pig. And this kid just bullied me like for years in school. And I was obese. I was overweight. But that was due to some other issues, right? But then here I go getting bullied at school. And he would say, oh, you're never going to have a boyfriend because you're so fat and ugly and, all this stuff. But this was this repetitive. I mean, he would shout and his whole own face would get red because he was using such a violent tone from him and like exasperating himself, like his face and my face. And I was little, right? This is my 8, 9, 10 years old. Those thoughts implanted in me. And that was that even though I knew he was just a bully in school, it hurt me, right, as a child. And there was a certain amount of those structures that I got to deal with as I came into my sexuality and into that part of like, oh, isn't that interesting? Oh, I got a little fright there. I was like, oh, you don't see this on Instagram, but this on YouTube, maybe you did. This thing just started falling in towards me. But that's the idea, right? Or what did your parents do? It takes time to Rubik's Cube our way back out through that labyrinth of what they told us, because there's a certain point of us where we don't know any better and we've taken it on. And if you're an empath, what I want to say to you right now is I see you. You are seen and you are heard and you are not crazy. I mean, it might sound crazy to those who are not empathic or on a sensitive path in that way, but there is such a huge amount of information that you are open to. If you are an empath and you are psychic, you can read people like that, right? And sometimes it's overwhelming if you don't have the tools or a vocabulary of how to understand and kind of like compartmentalize it, right, in this third dimension, so you can work with it then and take a bite here and take a morsel there and kind of learn how to, what do they call it? Separate the shaft from the wheat. What do I want to keep of these messages, and what does just not belong to me? But they can be really, really devastating. There's a message that I received when I was a youth from a family member, and I'm almost 50 years old, and it is still keeping me in hell. It is the linchpin. So right now, because we're going to do a little work, and I'm going to do my best to get through this. So we will have at least a 3 or 5 minute little mini meditation here at the end. Who is it? What is it? What's the tagline? What's the main one? And who's the main culprit, the main villain, if you will, who has placed that criticism right within you? And I even remember a different family member at one time, and I was young, and I've always had issues with my weight, right? Growing up, expanding and contracting, the energy expanding and contracting. That's all it was doing, right? And it was reflecting my ability to either transform and digest my feelings and emotions and then let them move through me, or hold them and create a level of padding for myself. That's how I did it, right? To hold the weight. And I remember one time I had went and I bought like all these new clothes, and I was kind of in the middle of losing a little weight. I think I was like 14 or 15. I was in the middle of losing weight, but I was still chubby, and I was, vulnerable and sensitive. And I bought these new clothes and I put them on, and I did a little dress show. You know how you do for your family or your parents or whatever, and you kind of model your new jacket or your jeans or whatever. And I was doing that. And this family member literally did this, pointed at me and laughed. And I can't even remember what it was about or what it was for, but do you know that took like close to 20 years? This was someone that I love and respect so deeply. And whatever their intention was, I don't think it was to hurt me or to harm me. I really don't think it was, yet my interpretation of it took on in that way. And perhaps their inability to be sensitive to my expansion and contraction of weight and where I was in my body and how I was already judging myself, they weren't aware of that. So whatever their expression was, I took it on. And I continued then. Whenever I thought of that person, or whenever I put those new clothes on that I was really happy to wear, I saw them laughing at me and wagging their finger and like judging me in my perception, right? And that took so long to undo. And like I said, this other family member, right, that I have the biggest hell realm initiations with. So who is it for you, right? I'm almost 50, and this grid is still popping. But what I want you to understand, empath, is you are not crazy. You have sensitivities, and even other empaths, your peers, sometimes they will call you nuts. They will not even get it, because we all have a different variable of the planes that we expand and of our work that will take us. And some people are working in the hell realms with straight up devil hell energy, right? Buffy Vampire Slayer, like for real. And others are in the more angelic realms, or they're just dealing with more third dimensional matrix stuff, or some people really did experience violence in a heavy way, in conjunction with being, ridiculed and criticized. And so there's like more stuff to Rubik's Cube and to undo. We all just have different paths of where our karmas are taking us. And no one is like cooler or better, or I'm more of an empath than you. It's not about classification, because ultimately everyone at their core and their root has these powers, and they're innate and they're natural within us. And there are our innate sensitive psi powers, right? Where we can hear, we can see, we can sense beyond the usual spectrum of the third dimension of what we're told through the senses, right? So I want you to know that you're not crazy. And even if some of your peers from time to time might roll their eyes at you, or give you that sense of where you're almost feeling criticized by the other people who are just as sensitive in your mind as you, I've just offered to you not to take it personally. And this is a big part of being an empath. because we're so super sensitive. And like I told you my age, right? When I was young, a little empath. Now we have a word for it. There was no word for it. It was just psychic. You were just a psychic kid, right? And over since I've been growing up, now we have these classifications, the indigo children, the crystal babies, right? Now there's like these classifications where these energies are coming through. But when I was little, you were just what you were, right? And we were just psychic, because you can feel, sense, you can see through people. Doesn't mean you have to judge them, but stuff. They can be saying A, B, C, L, M, N, O, P, and you're just sitting there going like, that's the story you're telling yourself, and I can see right through that. But it's okay, because I get it. I have to tell myself stories too sometimes. Like you have this whole, where you just see, you see, you sense, you hear, you feel so much more. And so the very important thing for empaths is to build your chi, is to create a sense of sealing your aura. And I did a post earlier, just a couple posts, if you're on Instagram with me, about self-judgment. But I do have notes. Let's just take a little look at our comments here. Oh, Champagne, blessings, sister. Thank you for coming back here. Skylark, I love you. Oh, Champagne, I love your new sassy energy, accepting that inner dark goddess along with the light yin yang balance. Love it. Champagne girl, we should talk. I will continue to share, because yes, there is so much that has been coming up for me recently with this initiation of the light and the dark, and it really is very, very powerful. So there will be more to come on that. So let's just have a little look. Oh, thank you everyone for the love over here. Oh, I look extra hot. Oh, thanks. Thank you, Senator. Maybe it's the green. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much, everyone, for hopping on. I'm so very grateful. Okay, so let's get into the notes. Okay. Addiction. So this is really important. If you have those criticisms from others, right, that have been implanted in you. So again, we've identified at least one, right, person, memory, place of one, it's the main one that you always go to first, that trips you first and foremost, and the hardest. That's the one I want you to think about. Now we think about the addictions and the patterns that run our lives, right, in the matrix. Sex, people, food, sugar, tobacco, weed, medication, right? Sometimes we can even be addicted to pain, because we're so not used to identifying as our true self, and we don't even know who we are sometimes as an empath, because there's the lines of who am I and who are you become so blurry, until we learn how to create the correct conditions to seal the aura, right? And so we're not leaking energy out and allowing inappropriate energy in, because that inappropriate energy are those messages, right? Of dark, of shadow, of polarity, of duality. And that stuff triggers the root systems of those criticisms of where they live. And so what might be buried in our subconscious when we're in the presence of those energies or those people, places, and things, where that energy is just casting out. And if our aura is not sealed and we're not to the best of our ability to just bounce that stuff off, it's going to get in there. And you may not realize it right away, but it's going to get in. And because it's energy, like attracts like, it's going to go in and it's going to tap. It's going to be like, hey, those old criticisms that are buried in there, that have been planted in there by whoever and whatever situation from your past, wake up and get to work. And next thing, right, they start to bubble up and they start to run your life, and you're overwhelmed, and you don't know how to get out or how to get back in. Okay, so understanding though that our addictions as empaths are really important to confront. They're really important to create a relationship with, to actually talk to your addictions. There will be a certain point in your life as you mature in your spirituality where you realize like your addictions are actual entities, and you will muster the ability to turn and to look at that shadow, that entity in the face, and talk to it and work with it consciously. But until then, it's kind of like this thing that we're like, I'm stuck in my addiction hell again. And then because when we allow ourselves to be consumed by our addictions, they keep us off balance. And those are there for a reason too. But ultimately, if we are empaths and we are looking to create the correct conditions to seal our energy, right? Understanding that as we move into the unwillingness to even contain in a healthier way, baby steps, those addictive qualities within us, they are going to allow in more of those inappropriate energies. Now, especially if you're wobbly and if you're in hell, right? If you're in hell as an empath, I mean, we're in training. We're in training. Really, that's what's going on. Yet it's not fun. And there's ways that you can be in training without having to be hit on the hammer, be hit on the head with the hammer constantly. You see, there's an entity that walks with us as well within our addictions. And so remember, we were talking about this, right? When we're good, our aura is psing, our light body's activated, all the chakras, we're like all our colors are popping, and the aura is inhaling and exhaling love and light, right? To the majority, there's going to be some negativity. There's going to be, we're here in the matrix, dual plane of energies. We got to learn how to roll with it, right? And it's easier to roll with it when our aura is pumped full of chi, pumped full of love and light, versus when we've allowed those criticisms to take over, and then doubling on top of it with the addictions that create more holes in the aura to let more of that like energy that matches those messages of criticism. And so it expands them and amplifies them. And what we're doing is we're learning how to take our power back, empaths. We are learning how to be sensitive, compassionate, loving, kind, psychic, beyond, and yet contain it with grace. And to learn how to wield this as a supernatural power that is innate within all of us, because it is just simply a part of an individual's light body activating. But some of us have just come in where we're like, to certain levels again, and with our karmas and going down certain paths of initiation, of learning how to hold those empathic qualities. So understanding when we're in hell and we're going to the addictions, just knowing, and I know we're in it. I mean, I've just been in hell. I just come back. I've just had a little vacation there. I know it sounds crazy. No, it hasn't been a vacation. It's been an intensive training that, when I reflect back, has been going on for almost 6 months now. Yeah. Okay. So the point is, though, that those addictions, right, are feeding the tar body. And what we want to do is we want to feed the light body. And every time you feed the God phone, every time you feed the light body, your aura seals and heals naturally. Hello? Hey, God. God says hi. Blessings. I would love to read just a little bit. Oh, something different. Greg Braden. Okay. Thank you. I love you. And I really mean it. Thank you. Okay. Let's see. The wisdom codes. Greg Braden. Okay, this is different. Often we usually, well, not really different. I mean, sometimes God will offer us to read all sorts of things. Often it's A Course in Miracles, something from A Course in Miracles. But today, love as forgiveness. Almost universally, the power of forgiveness has been acknowledged throughout time and across cultures and continents. American writer Ernest Holmes described this power beautifully when he said, "Through the power of love, we can let go of past history and begin again." And begin again. And that's what we're doing, empaths, because there's a certain point where we realize the power of now, and that the power of the past, even though it seems real, is illusion. And we keep the past lit, and it becomes real and distorted as our reality when we don't confront the shadow. Again, if you're in hell, there will be a time, right? When you're first in hell and dealing as an empath with all your sensitivities and like the whole world is upon you, and especially if you have addictions and there's old traumas that are keeping those holes in your aura, and you're crying, and we're initiating into remembering that we are light. It's not always easy at all. But on that path, now I forgot what I was going to say. So let me just keep going. We'll see. It felt very powerful, but here we are. Maybe it's love and forgiveness. Okay, perhaps it's just what we just read. Yes, our ability to remember that we are light, right, is our superpower. To remember the power of forgiveness, which is actually very, very resonant with A Course in Miracles teaching, because the past is not real, empaths. And just in case, I know we know this, but just in case these messages may be new, or you may be new to me, in that case, welcome. But the past is not real. Neither is the future. And the present is just a portal. It's really not real either, but we'll get back to that another time. But we use the present as a tool to enter the now. because the now is where we're in our full authentic presence and authority. The now is when you're not repeating those criticisms of others. Because what happens is those criticisms of others are planted like those seeds in our subconscious, and they are replaying on behalf of us through our life, whether we are aware of it or not. And we go into life and we're going, what the hell? Why does this keep happening? What is this situation about? Right? Or perhaps we don't even ask those questions. We just feel like a victim and we're like, here we go again. I'm messed up. I'm stuck in this situation. And we're not aware yet until we realize, like, oh, this is from the past. This is where you do your spiritual work, and you go in and you write those energy letters, or you pray and you meditate and you ask for clarity from your angels. And if it's God, it's God. If it's whoever it is for you. But you don't receive unless you ask. So you got to go in to your heart, figure this matrix within ourselves out, this labyrinth out. And then we gain clarity little by little. And then we start to redo that Rubik's Cube. The parts of us start to click. Because if you've worked on yourself, right, and you've got most of the parts of the puzzle fixed, those couple of little pieces, or that one part in your aura that's still open, that little hole that hasn't been sealed, or that one criticism that can steer those negative, unconscious decisions and choices you make on behalf of yourself in your life. And you'll be like, why does this keep happening? This is where the vocabulary, empaths, and learning about your metaphysical energy body and energy being, right? This is where you learning about that is really of value and service to you, because then you begin to learn how to, like, oh, okay, and especially if it resonates, right? And there's so many different teachers. So you'll find, and I pray that what I share with you has a resonance, but you'll take a little page out of everyone's books, right? As you're guided, you'll say, like, oh, that's what that thing is. Oh, and here's a tool. Now I've learned a new tool of how I can face this, or how I can work on this, or how I can dissolve it, how I can transform it. And you start to get to work, and things start to change. You heal your aura. And next thing, what you're doing is then you're healing your aura, and you're in your energy, and you become impenetrable by those outside forces. You see, it's very difficult to work on all of those criticisms when we have an aura that is already like a Swiss cheese, letting all sorts of stuff in. So it's very important to build our chi, to breathe light, and there's more. So let me just keep going. So again, those addictions, being mindful, but also being gentle on yourself, and knowing, that's what I was going to say. Thank you, higher self. Is just recently in my recent tour of hell, I'm deep in my addictions, and there's a lot to do with smoking. And I can hear my higher self go, I can extend you some willpower right now so that you can put that tobacco down. And I can hear higher self, and I am my higher self, as we are our light bodies. Yet here I am, I'm in hell, and I'm just watching myself do the addiction, knowing that my lungs are going, will you stop smoking, lady? Will you, like, walking up the stairs is hard. Hello, I'm healthy. I go to the gym, I do yoga, I do Reiki, all this stuff. But it's like, no, here I've been in hell for the last 6 months, though, not really realizing it until this last month that this has been an initiation. Yet my addictions getting stronger and stronger. Smoking, like, I don't even smoke. I used to smoke like that when I was a teenager in Ireland, smoking packs a day kind of thing. I don't do that anymore. I can't. My lungs will be like, you lady. And that's what they were telling me. But here I am. Higher self is like, I can extend you willpower. I can hear higher self, and I'm just in hell. And I'm just like, no, I'm going to smoke another one. No, I'm going to smoke another one. So addictions, what are they for you? And they keep us bound, right? And yes, you can modify, and you can learn how to dance with those addictive patterns and create a greater sense of healthy relationship with them, okay? Or just release them altogether, but that's up to you, and that's your karma. So we get to heal hate, right? So what I've realized is one of my addictions from an unhealed, this is what I was going to say. Okay, so those unhealed parts of our past. So if you've been traumatized, brutalized, and even if it was just, like I was saying, that one deep person that I love so much that as a youth, they covered their mouth, they pointed at me, and they laughed at me when I was in this very vulnerable and impressionistic age, and like wanting to impress them and get their love and attention. And then I got that back. Like, even that, it doesn't have to be you were you got your arm chopped off with a machete. It doesn't have to be like, it might be, girl, it might be, dude, it might be. And because we walk with ancient, if you believe in past lives, then we have so many then memories of being criticized. And we know there's a difference between, well, let's look right now. We know there's a difference between constructive criticism. That's when you do like my friend is an actor and he would say like, okay, constructive criticism, and he would do a thing and I'd be like, okay, yeah, I totally feel this. This one seemed a little bit like, if you look a little more at the camera because I can see your eyes more, right? You constructive, like what is helpful, not just like, dude, that blew, you suck. It's like, no. So let's just look briefly here. Criticism, just the basic, when you Google it, the definition. The expression of disapproval of someone or something based on perceived faults or mistakes. Faults, right? When innately we are perfect. The analysis and judgment. I'm going to pause right there. In A Course in Miracles, judgment is any time, and I know this sounds severe, but anytime you actually have an opinion is a judgment. So even saying something is nice is a judgment. It's a very interesting thing, and I won't go too deep in it, but there's this very interesting plane where we begin to understand the power of our words and the energy associated with them throughout history and time, and all the people, places, and things that are attached to them, and how those projections then cast forth through our words. And so, not to say that you can't tell someone that they're nice or they look good, or that oh, I love you, or whatever it is, or your artwork is really beautiful. It's not to say that. It's just that as soon as we do that, you see, beyond the matrix, beyond this third dimension, everything already is perfect. Unity consciousness reigns. We are one. We are whole. And as soon as we have an opinion, have a judgment about something, we come into the matrix, and it's broken down into good and bad, love and fear, right and wrong, yes and no, right? That binary system, which again is not wrong. We're just understanding, having a vocabulary and a way to understand the way this energy works. The analysis and judgment of the merits and faults of a literary or artistic work. So that's the idea of criticism, right? So it's a judgment. It's a judgment. The first seed in me that I'm still working on, that has had me in hell doing this work recently, is hate. And I'm going to put all this in a bubble of light because I'm consciously working to rewrite my story about this and around this. And I have been since I was 16, I started meditating. I'm now 49. It's been a minute, right, of going within, of questing. But because that is when I read Louise Hay, I was 18, 19 maybe, right? I started meditating at 16 and then realizing like there's some deep stuff of hate in my heart, of unforgiveness towards a specific family member that I feel they did a number on me as a youth growing up, like a big psychological manipulation. And as an empath, when you're a kid, I mean, you're a love bug. You just love everyone, right? You're just like love because you're light and love. And then we come in and we learn, unless you come in with some distorted lenses, which can happen. But generally, like a lot of kids, we're just like love bugs, but we're super sensitive, but we don't know that yet. We just think everyone is like us. Or at least that's what I will offer you. That's how I felt. And then you start to get bombarded by life or by these criticisms. And what happens then is you take them on. There was a pastor once, and I heard he was ministering, and he was talking about the devil, and he's saying, man, that devil will come and he'll hit you on the head with the hammer. He was a Latino preacher, and he's like, he'll hit you on the head with the hammer, man. And you'll be like, dude, what's up? I'm doing an impression of him, right? I love doing accents. I am not making fun. I'm half Mexican. I'm not making fun. If you ever hear me doing an Indian or a Russian accent or a French accent, I just love doing accents, impersonations. But he was breaking it down hardcore. He's like, yo, the devil comes. Devil's like starts hitting you on the head with the hammer. And at first you're like questioning it. You're going, dude, stop it, man. Get out of my way. And you're kind of like, dude, like you feel it. But then if you don't confront it right away and you're like, get thee behind me, and you own your shit and you take care of it, you get used to being hit on the head with the hammer, don't you? And the preacher was saying, and eventually what you do, you get so used to it, is that you take that hammer yourself and you start to hit yourself on the head with the hammer. And that's what we're talking about here in this show, is how their judgments of you, their criticisms of you, whether it was last week when you were 2 years old, 13 years old, whatever age, if we don't unimplant them, forgive, place love there, do the work as a sensitive individual to mind our energy field, then it's the same thing. What happens is we begin to relay, and their thoughts about us become our thoughts about us. They become debilitating. They open our aura like that Swiss cheese. And next thing, all sorts of other weird criticisms and energies come in. Maybe it's, if you're a woman, from men, inappropriate energies like that, if that's the realm, right? If it's from women, it's like you get this weird, bitchy thing or whatever it might be. I don't know, but there's these planes, and thank you for the love, but there's these planes, right, that are very, very subtle until you start to become aware of them and consciously pay attention. And so when I was in hell, this root of hate, this is what I'm working on right now. And I've posted a bit about it, and I've shared with some of you. There's a root system of hate that I've been walking with, and it's beyond this life. This life, though, is the life where it's coming down. It's coming out. It's by the root system, right? And I've been working in cycles for lifetimes, and in this life, really consciously, to heal this with this one person specifically. So again, are they for you? What is it for you? What is that criticism for you? Out of all of them, there may be many, but there's one, right? And it may be linked, like me, from me not knowing as a child how to deal with the criticisms that were laid on me. And I'm sharing this with you, and I want you to put yourself in my moccasin. So was that and if it wasn't you as a kid, maybe it was your ex, or your last marriage, where they just were criticizing you all the time. And you do see it. Okay, side note, you do see it in your friends and your family and your loved ones, where it's just like it becomes this nagging criticism thing, right? And it's completely unnecessary, and it takes and strips away any intimacy from a sexual, fun, romantic plane that you might have with someone. So if you have a boyfriend or a girlfriend, and if you have to continually be critical of them, and you may not realize you do it, you may be just emblemating, is that the correct word? You may just be repeating what you have learned, and it may be completely unconscious. And this is what I'm talking about, is that it's not even yours. You're not even a critical person, a criticizing person, yet because that root has not been taken care of from whoever put it in you, and because you didn't know how to dismantle it and heal it, now it's so ingrained in there that it becomes your personality, when it never was, empath. And this is what we're talking about. We're talking about getting to the root of this stuff. Who is it? What is it? What do you got to do to reclaim your power? To take your power back. So when I was in hell, what was happening is, here I am with all the addictions, smoking up my aura too, just making it real foggy in there. I just had to clear those lenses because it's just smoky, but that's how I needed it. That's how I wanted it. And that's hell. That's just what it was. But what was happening, and I had to be, and here I am, I'm still, doing my meditations and stuff, and, working as best as I can to honor the light being that I am. But that hate, what had happened is that those things that had been planted inside of me that I didn't resolve as a youth turned into hate. And I know that's a very powerful word, and it really is. And it ran my life unconsciously for a long, long time. But what happened is, as those addictions were given the right of way, and I ignored higher self, and I'm in hell, and that root system of hate is still yet to be uprooted. Those addictions creating more holes in my energy field, well, didn't it just awaken the sleeping giant of that root system of all those messages that were implanted into me as a youth? And so here I am in hell, those addictions, Swiss cheese aura, doing my best. Right? We all do our best to be the love, to be the light, to work on ourselves and whatever, or to just hang out in hell if that's where we got to be for a minute. Just surrender, pay attention, do our work best that we can. But what I realized, I was like, oh man, all those messages that were implanted into me as a child, and all those manipulative, those weird criticism things from this person that did all this wooey weird stuff with me when I was young, and I didn't know any better at the time, because I didn't know how to resolve those, and because I was afraid of this person, because they had ways of doing things that were very slight and very subtle that I just didn't understand back then, but that now I know. Well, what happened is it turned into hate. I didn't know how to deal with it. So I pushed it down. I ate. Right? That's why I had my weight issues, was a big part of it, besides being sexually taken advantage of repetitively by my best friend, which is in my book, The Reiki Apprentice. But it turned into hate. And so here I am in hell, and I'm addicting, blah, 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 all this stuff. And here they go, all of their criticisms of me. And I'm the one, like the pastor saying, and then you start to hit yourself on the head with the hammer. And here I am, and I'm watching myself. I'm just smoking in hell, and the flame. And I'm going, look at this. Look at this. And I can see this now metaphysically in a way that I hadn't before. And that's why we're sharing this today. Because we get to see and understand this and have a vocabulary and have a means to move the chess pieces around within ourselves to master this stuff. And I really saw that hammer analogy where I was like, man, I am beating myself up, and it's not even my words. These criticisms are from 45 years ago, 40 years ago, because they were implanted as a youth, but this person and their personality and my karma with them, they just don't stop. And I allowed them not to stop by my inability to get to the root system, but it's all been a part of the karma. Because here I am all these years later. And because of the work that I have initiated, though, in forgiving, in placing love in myself and towards the other person, which is hard when you hate someone. That's the real superpower, right? Is to really place love there when you have really garnered a fear against someone, especially because if they have more wooey, especially weird woo when you're young and you don't understand your own empathic woo-ness, your own psychic powers and abilities, and you don't know how to harness them, and you're just like, woo, you're just open. And when someone else is like, woo, woo, doing that stuff, you don't know any better. You're a kid. But then later you're like, oh, snap. And you start to realize it. And you start to take care of your stuff. So you start to heal it, start to learn your tools. And then eventually you get to the root system, which is where I'm at. And so wherever you're at, understanding that those criticisms are not yours and you can let them go. And we're going to talk about ways to do that. Okay, so we did the hammer. So remember, those continual, perpetual criticisms of the negative self-talk within yourself that is not yours are reruns of illusion. They are not real. And they are reruns of the past, which is also not real. Time is not real. Hate, heal, karmas, all your wish list are your wish list and path to freedom, dharma. So to heal the hate, to heal the wounds, to heal those messages, right? It's a part of our karma. And somehow we've decided in agreement for it. And once you kind of just really hang out with that, and maybe we're already there and we get all that stuff, but if you're new in this realm, there is a part on your spiritual path where you'll be invited to understand that there's, again, that plane where everything is perfect and all the stuff that's happened to you is an illusion. And the more that illusion is allowed to perpetuate through our own thoughts, repeating those criticism messages, then that becomes more real than the truth that we are love and that everything is perfect and that those things cannot really affect you or touch you. But until you really break down and heal to that degree where you can really know that, right? Then we fake it till we make it. Then we allow that belief system or that thought, that idea that everything is perfect and that it never happened. We just allow ourselves just to come to terms with allowing that mode of awareness to, just to put that lens on for a minute and to consider it and to be present with that, so that can then be a new way we can see ourselves and see the world and see our past and work on it in a new way. Okay, so those criticisms are like implants in your energy body, but they don't have to be. So how long have you been holding the hammer? And are there multiple hammers? Right? So again, I'm inviting you to think about that one person, that one thing specifically, but how many are there different? Like for me, right? There's the memory of that person who was laughing at me. There's the main culprit. There's my biggest teacher about all this hell realm, shadow, dark side stuff in my life. I'm someone very, very close to me, a family member. Who are they for you? What are they? And are you ready to put the hammer down, empath? And I believe if you are here, perhaps you are. You're not crazy. You're not crazy. Different empaths, we have different areas of experience, but it's in sharing them together that then we put together these aspects of the greater whole, right? And we can help each other see in new ways so that we can, again, understand the terrain that we find ourselves upon. And I want you to know that it's going to be okay. As an empath, if you're really, really feeling in a vulnerable place and you're in super deep, heavy waters, I just want you to know that this too shall pass. I get it. You're seen, you're heard. And I encourage you to turn to the light. And it sounds cheesy, but life is a cheesy movie, isn't it? I mean, it just is. And so you write the script and you're the main character, you're the star. So what superpowers would you enable your star with? And sometimes when you're in hell and you're hitting yourself on the head with that hammer and you can't see anything but the dark, there's always the light because it is you. And so you get to turn to the light, turn to yourself, turn to that higher self, and even your willingness to just glance in the direction of light, of love, stimulates the memory of the truth that you already are, and you gain your power back. You begin little by little, but it's your own willingness to be willing to choose it, which is very difficult when you're in the hell realms. It's very difficult when you're dealing with dismantling this stuff, right? So baby steps and be gentle on yourself. And empath, I want you to know this too shall pass. And these teachings are here for a reason. Your karmas are here for a reason. Those villains, those criticisms, they're here for a reason, so that you can know who you are outside of them, so that you can come back into your power, so that you can learn how to hold space in a graceful, grounded way. For a lot of us empaths, grounding, because we're just like, woo, right? So you got to learn how to ground, be in nature, be still, be quiet. And again, so many youth that are in my community that I work with, there's many that are empaths. They don't know it. It's not my job to tell them unless it comes up. Just like it's not my job to tell someone they're a shaman. It's not my job to tell you who you are, right? If you ask me for some insight, if I'm working with you in counseling, which I do, go to my link tree if you're interested, okay? And if you really need this work, contact me. I do a 20-minute free consultation and I work on a sliding scale, but my links are at the link tree in my bio. So if you're at that place where you're like, I'm ready to break through, let's talk. Because there are paths, there are powers, there are tools that I can introduce you to. And I think I was saying something, I can't remember. Okay, there's so much. I do my best to stay on track, and that's why notes help sometimes. So yes, empath, this too shall pass. You feel isolated, but you don't have to. And also understanding that feeling of isolation is a way that we create a safe space for ourselves. Until you know how to charge up your chi and make that aura, right, impenetrable to inappropriate powers and forces, right? You just be like, I'm depressed, going to lock myself in the room or whatever. That's just a metaphor, right? But it makes it difficult to want to be like, I'm going to go out and party and be around and be in public. It's like a lot of, I don't want to categorize, but there's many empaths that until you learn how to navigate your sensitivities and ground your energy and contain it in the light, going out into the matrix, that's hell. Never mind having to deal with the entities or the past criticisms that you're repeating in your own mind that are hitting yourself on the head and the hammer, the hell of that. Oh, look at this. Okay. And what I do want to say is I have a book, and I'm thinking of subtly reorganizing the title slightly because of this empath movement, just this realization that there's so many folks that identify as this. The book is called The Nowosphere. Pardon me. The book is called The Nowosphere. And it's a book. And now I won't judge myself, but it's difficult for me to recall sometimes the titles of my books. I wrote them, or did I? Did something else write them? But it's learning how to navigate, learning how to understand your sensitivity, right? As a sensitive being, and it's the Nowosphere book one, and it's free, and it's a mini book. So you'll read it like in 30, 40 minutes, probably, maybe an hour, right? Get a tea, a coffee, go to the cafe, download it for free. It's on Apple iBooks, The Nowosphere. It's by Tuesday May Thomas, me, or whoever was helping me write it. Because one of my BFF is like, girl, that doesn't even sound like your voice. I'm like, I know, huh? Anyway, that's just an artist side note. It's also on Kindle, but I will recommend, if you have access to the Apple one, there's actually art, beautiful art, and it's a different layout, and it's just a more beautiful media platform to interface with it. But either way, the message is there. The Nowosphere. It's for you if you're a sensitive soul. You feel like you're in hell, you're in the void, you're changing, you're healing, you're transforming, and you don't know what the heck's going on, how to navigate it. I offer that to you as a sweet reflection, okay? The Nowosphere, book one. I'll post it on my page later at Instagram too, the picture of it, so you have a little mental of it. Very important not to become what you don't want to be, right? So this individual who affected you with those criticisms that now you're judging yourself, you're repeating those things unconsciously, and even when you're working on it, it becomes more conscious, right? And that hate or that resistance or that just disgust or whatever that polarized word that might be that you connect with that person or that experience from your past. What happens is if we don't heal that stuff, empaths, we start to become like them. And that's not our true nature, unless you really feel it is your true nature. You know who you are, or we're getting to know who we are. And that's the power path, to know thyself, but to know thyself in the dark and the light. So just being mindful that you don't become that. You might look around yourself, look at your brothers, your sisters, your family members, your, excuse me. Okay, throat chakra. Woo! Let's clear that throat. And without judging, but look around yourself. You know, did you grow up in a critical family? Were your parents always like judging and criticizing? And were you able to better navigate it and not take it so personally? Maybe you just came in with a thicker auric skin, or even if you're empathic, you just had more abilities to bounce that stuff off or whatever. But then you see your brother who didn't know any better, or who hasn't learned how to heal that stuff. And now he's become like the father, or he's talking to his kids in that judgmental or criticism way. And then you see the kids all, it's like, we don't want to become that, do we? Do we? So just be mindful. Just be mindful that you don't become that. So again, building your chi. So your downloads are clear. So as an empath, we're continually getting downloads, right? You're psychically, you can read everyone and anything. I mean, like that. And you can, depending, right? There's maybe a level where it opens more, or you come in with more, or you come in with a little less. And not that one's better than the other, but over time, your empathic, just abilities get raised or expanded. But whatever it is, if our aura is like the Swiss cheese, which comes from the hammer and that self-judgment, if we just are continually judging ourselves, right, and not letting ourselves have a break in life, if our ability to judge ourselves, to criticize ourselves unconsciously and even consciously, subconsciously, is stronger than our ability to speak love and light over ourselves, then that's hell, right? But understand that when we're in that hell, that the downloads as an empath, as a sensitive that you're going to get, they're going to be distorted. They're going to be distorted. And so the work that we do to realign and to rewire, as I offered in a post a few posts ago here on Instagram today, is about self-judgment, and how the self-judgment, right, creates the holes in the aura. Yet as soon as that thought comes in, erase it, place love there, rewire it, put a new affirmation, a new intention in there. And even if you have to do it over and over and over and over and over again, that's your work. And that's going to automatically and organically heal and seal your aura, so that the downloads you get are clear. because it can be very overwhelming as an empath when you're receiving a lot of information and you don't know what to do with it all, because it's wild and it's crazy and it's out there, and some of it's very dark and perhaps evil, right? And so you become afraid, and you might even close your superpowers of sensitivity down because it's a scary world out there. But you know what? The world is in here. And so learning to master your mind, empath, is going to help you to build your chi, to strengthen your aura, to heal the holes. So every time you rewire that thought and create the positive affirmation, your aura is going to naturally regenerate and heal. Learning to seal up your aura. Imagine yourself in a ring of light, breathing light into your aura. 3 breaths even. When you feel, even if you get a little blip on your radar, like you're sensitive, or you feel your energy's leaking out, you're not contained, or you're going into a situation where you know there's going to be a lot of people and but you know you're guided to be there, right? Inhale love and light into every cell, every atom of your being. Exhale, fill your aura with light, and imagine it's healing and sealing every crack, every fissure, every hole that may be there. And do it 3 breaths. And at the end of that 3rd breath, be firm in your affirmation that your aura is sealed, and make it so, and make it so. Now, and I have bells down there, and maybe you even, and you're like, make it so, or you have a bell, you're like, you say your affirmation, or you clapping the hands is a fierce way, and you don't need any accoutrement with you, right? Just to reset the energy and claim your power back in that way. Okay. Make healthy boundaries a priority, empath. So when you have an intuition not to go to that party, or not to be around those people, or not to think that thought on repeat, listen to it. That's your higher self. That's your light body helping, doing its best to cast its light in your direction so that you can think again, look again, choose again a different trajectory for your path. Now, also another one, what I want to share with you is the reflective mirror aura, is to just activate it. And it's very simple. All you have to do is imagine that you are in an egg, that your aura is an egg, and the outside of the egg is a mirror. And it's deflecting all the energies that come into it. Only love and light can come in. Only frequencies that are in attunement with love and light come in, and anything else just ga-ting, ga-ting, it bounces off and it goes back to whence it came. Okay, so real simple energy tools that you just bum, bum, bum. If they resonate with you, then that means they're going to work for you. If you're like, oh, yeah. Thank you for reminding me of that one. Ooh, I never heard of that one. If they resonate like right away, it's in you now. And as you move through your life, your days, you're, going ahead, higher self is going to go, hey, that little mirror, or put yourself in the mirror egg, or do that 3 breaths of light work. It's going to remind you. And when higher self comes in to remind you, that's when the vortex of healing is open, and that's when you do it. Don't wait. I know sometimes the situation, though, you might be like, I'm in the middle of a christening. I'm at a wedding, or I'm in a meeting at work. You can work in dual planes. You are multidimensional, which we're going to get to right here now. So you can you can ask your higher self to do it for you. I can't believe it's already 11:57. What I want to demonstrate to you is when you have that negative self-criticizing thought that you're repeating that isn't even your own, what happens is it goes from your physical body to your emotional body. Can you see? Physical body layer of the aura. Yes, mental layer, the emotional. When you think that thought, it goes to the emotional and it starts to break it down. Physical, mental, right? The body, the mind, the emotions. That starts to go into the emotional body. And that's where it starts to create the holes in the emotional body, which then, if it's not taken care of, goes into the mental body. And that's when you start going crazy, empath. That's when you start feeling like you're going cuckoo because you're out of balance. And then if it's not taken care of, it starts to become a physical ailment. So let's take this moment now. I know this is going to end here shortly, but let's just take this moment. Let's close our eyes and take a breath. Connect with higher self. Now, who is that person and what is that thing that you're ready to forgive? Ask their higher self to step in front of you Welcome them, acknowledge them, let them acknowledge you right now, and tell them as your higher self that you forgive them. Do it now. Listen to what they have to say. And then place love there in the space in between you, and let love reset the energy, raise the frequency, and for the highest good, universe, higher self, God, love, light, source, we call in the healing and the sealing of our auras with your divine love and light and your grace, with your clarity, with your grounding, with your courageous heart that is boundless and beyond the dimensions of all minds, that is the foundation of everything we call everything in this cosmos. We welcome your love and your light in all highest, holiest frequencies that are beyond this world to heal and seal our auras, that we may be contained and grounded in the clarity of your love and your light. And so it is. And so it is. Dear community, I'm so grateful for you. Thank you for being here. I pray everything I share serves your path of spiritual growth and sovereignty. Go to my link tree at I'll put it up here, and I'll put some links later here at YouTube as well for other little exercises and tools. And go ahead and subscribe to my YouTube if you're interested, if you want to join the community. My links are at the link tree at my bio page here at Instagram. I'll put them up here at YouTube later. If you're my YouTube fam, but you do a little Instagram and you want to hang out, come and follow me on Insta. I'll put those links up later. I do a monthly love letter. You can subscribe again at my link tree. Thank you for being here. Thank you. You're fierce. You are love. You are light. And so it is.